work on the Saleen number 421. And guys, one thing that's really important, I'm gonna slip those headers up in there. Well, I could be in for a bad surprise.
See Chris on a whole new level.
I'm on a new level.
Your heater core box, is that flipped this way?
Difference, folks. There you have it. I swear, sometimes weekends and evenings just work better. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the infamous project. We are going to get on to more work on the Saleen number 421. It might get into a little bit more work into the Saleen clone behind me here. So you can see both cars are facing one another, and I never like to just concentrate on one project. I like to kind of bounce back and forth so that if I get frustrated with something over here, I can walk away, take a deep breath, maybe have a sip of Miller Lite, and then go over here, and the same thing will happen, so on and so forth. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I get into the groove, sometimes I get caught up in stuff, and I'll just keep going. Like, I'll almost challenge myself sometimes. I'll like say I'm not gonna have a drink of water, or I'm not eating lunch until this is done. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. The other cool thing is I'm doing a live stream right now, so people that are watching on live are actually watching me record this footage. Now, of course, the live is for members only. If you guys are interested in seeing cool stuff and uncensored, unfiltered, all that other, or all those other good things where you don't have to see me do or you get to see me do takes because I screw stuff up, just sort of like I did there. But that's where we're at. You can see lower intake manifold is off the Saleen car here. Everything is cleaned up, and I've got the other intake manifold sitting here, and the customer, I think he liked this one because it was polished nicer than the other one. I'm not 100% sure, but I've got this one already. It's all been cleaned out. And guys, one thing that's really important is see those baffle plates there? Make sure that everything underneath those plates, they're like pushed in with pins. So take cans of brake clean or whatever you got and clean the shit out of those, because the reality is if you've done a lot of polishing or if you've done powder coating or they've just been sitting out in the elements or have got dust or everything else, you want to make sure that everything behind those baffles is 100% clean so that you're not putting this on your fresh motor like we have right here, and then you're ending up getting dirt and debris and everything else in your oil. These are the gaskets that came off. I've got a new set here, and one thing that I did notice is the coolant ports are blocked off a little bit and they cut them open. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna cut these guys open. So I'm gonna have to come up with my decision on what I wanna do there, if I'm gonna glob it with gasket maker. And being a boosted motor, that is something that you want to keep in mind. You actually want to make sure things are sealed up as well as possible, because, well, you never know when there might be a little bit of blow by or some pressure that is existing in places that you don't necessarily want it. So that's the name of the game for today. I'm going to be cleaning this stuff up, getting that stuff installed on here, and I'm going to time lapse this camera. You guys can chime in and send me notes or do whatever, and you guys get to see me put this stuff on, and that's where we're at. This is a nice little win actually, because it's a Saturday. I'm pretty casual. I got my board shorts on and it's gonna be 90 degrees out today. So I'm hoping I can do my first jump into the pool of the season. And I was like, you know what? I'm rested, I feel good. Why don't I just come out and try and deal with a tedious task, AKA long tube headers. And here we are. So I put the motor back in, I put a couple bolts in the bell housing and started the motor mount nuts, or bolts rather, but I didn't commit to anything. The reason for that is I didn't know if these headers were gonna go in on their own or if the motor would have needed to get lifted up a little bit. The driver's side, everything looks pretty good. It's all mocked up there. So I don't think we have any issues in terms of fitment there. I got the last two passenger side pipes. Gonna take a look and see how those are gonna go into place here. And hopefully everything will be okay. So that's sort of the reason, guys, that a car like this can take a lot more time, mock up, putting stuff on, taking stuff off, making sure that stuff fits, because you don't want to commit, start bolting everything on. Like if I had all the accessories and the intake and wiring and everything else, and you know, I thought I was just going to slip those headers up in there. Well, I could be in for a bad surprise.
Surprise, motherfucker.
So I'm going to see if those other two tubes fit. We'll know which tubes go where. Again, putting tape on stuff that might rub against frame rails and everything else, just to, you can see in there, just to protect paint and make sure we're not scratching anything. Not that you'd really see stuff in there, but you know, it's just important to make sure that we protect as much as possible. So ultimately, I think, and I'll talk to the customer and just say, hey man, we'll drill both these out. You should probably run, despite what the Holly needs to get this thing running or how it's going to be configured. I'm going to make sure that he's running dual AFRs, wideband gauges, so that he can monitor and make sure that everything is doing what it should, so he doesn't get detonation, so he doesn't get a hole in a piston or anything else that you don't want when you put something together and invested all that time and money. So there we have it. I'm just gonna leave this here for the rest of today and go get a beer. All right, back to the other Saleen, rainy day. Time to swap in the new evaporator core.
See how well of a job I can get done. See Chris on a whole new level.
I'm on a new level.
Yeah.
Hands free.
Put padding back on this. Some people, this isn't supplied with the evaporator cores, which is a pain in the ass, because what ends up happening is this will rattle around when you're trying to connect your lines. So buy that piece. Boom. Small piece of collateral damage. Oh, your car?
Yeah.
I don't know.
400, 500. What did it dyno before?
I don't know, to be honest.
Wasn't it 4 something? There's some dyno sheets I can go back and look at.
Why is everything a competition? One way for that to fit. Okay.
There you go.
Right.
Your washer actually, or your rubber grommet came out. Do you have the nuts on this side or?
I feel like we should be going.
Further in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? How many, yeah, Chris. Your heater core box.
Yeah.
Is that flipped this way? Because one of the hoses were kind of going into the firewall where there was no hole.
It was at this moment that he knew.
The heater core ones?
Yeah, so there's supposed to be 2 that come out, right?
Yeah.
There's only 1 visible.
Really?
And then the other one was just on that side, driver's side of the hole.
So let's see one.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had Charles over. It was his day off and we were putting around working on Project Blue Brother a little bit, and then he was helping me trying to get the heater box back into Saleen 421 and put the new evaporator core in, put in the new heater core, and was trying to put the box in, and it wasn't fitting properly. And more precisely, where the 2 core tubes come out of the firewall here, one of them was not poking out of the hole. And, well, I learned something new, guys. I learned that there is actually a non-AC heater box specific heater core. So even though the tubes come out of the same location on the firewall, whether your car was originally equipped with AC or not, the design of the heater box is different because it doesn't have that big evaporator core in there. It only has a heater core. And you know, I bought 2 of these guys off of NPD because, well, they are copper, they are you know, a more durable and nicer product as opposed to something that is newer. But I didn't read the fine print that says these are specific to a non-AC equipped or dealer installed AC. There you have it. These two guys here are actually different. So when we open up one of these boxes, and this is our traditional Murray heater core here, do my best. Difference, folks, and I can already see the difference. So there you have it. See how things are offset? Well, oh, we even get some foamy surround. So I'm gonna take the heater box is just literally laying on the floor over there. Pull it out. We'll swap out the one of these that's in there for this guy, and hopefully I can get that heater box installed in no time. There we go. Heater box is back in, no complaints. With the dash, I guess, framing or housing off, I'm gonna get the speedo cable run back through there, and I'll probably get the clutch cable and quadrant sorted out as well, just because it's gonna be much easier without the rest of the dash stuff in the way to be able to get access to all those things. So I'm gonna deal with that in the morning, but I just wanted to knock that out and get that out of my way for tonight, which it's done. Got the headers all bolted on. So those are done, got spark plugs, they're gapped, they're in there, and then we'll be able to put the lower intake on. Got a fresh set of gaskets right here. So these will be good to go on tomorrow. And once the lower intake's on, I can start dealing with the fuel rails. And if I get all the fuel rails buttoned up, injectors are on there, and that'll allow me to get the upper intake on, possibly. Really needed a day like today where I could just like focus. I swear, sometimes weekends and evenings just work better because like your phone's not getting blown up.
Oh, shit! What the fuck?
And I don't know, sometimes it's just like, you know, it's not during the week, so you can relax a little bit more and feel more productive and get shit done. So we got pretty much all of the front end accessories mocked up where they need to be. Everything on this side is actually pretty much torqued down. I'm still going through making sure that I have all of the Vortec bracket and blower bolts and having them in the right position and all of that stuff. So this is still a little loose, wobbly here, but the important thing is got the proper grommet, or an aftermarket grommet I should say, and got the Holley wiring passed through that because I didn't have it through the grommet before. It was just kind of routed. So that is done, that's clean, and now I'm going through and just figuring out where everything goes and how to hook everything up. So what I'm doing now is actually mocking up the fuel rails. So that was one thing that did not come with the car. And I got a set of these TrickFlow by Aeromotive from Summit Racing. I wanted something, well, the customer, I should say, he really wanted something polished if he could find them. And there was a version of these that were polished, but nowhere to be found as of now. So opted to go with black. This kit comes with everything that you need. You know, you got your fuel pressure regulator here. You get a box full of fittings so that you can obviously handle your plumbing, and you get the braided line. I don't know if I'll be using this line necessarily or not, because I have a bunch of black braided nylon stuff coming as well, but I'll see ultimately what I end up going with. So I did have to install the injectors into the rail first and then get it down on this side. The other thing that I'm really curious to know is if I'm going to run into any distributor clearance issues here. So that's another reason for the mock-up. I'm gonna go now and get the cylinders 1 through 4 bank installed on the rail, and then start mocking up some of the fittings and how that's gonna go. Got to figure out where we're gonna mount the fuel pressure regulator, and from there maybe stuff the distributor in and kind of just get an idea of where it's gonna sit and see if we're gonna run into any rubbing issues. So I'm just mocking some stuff up here with the fuel rail. And one thing to note is on this side, they actually supply you with 2 spacers that go in between the lower intake manifold and the fuel rail. And then you put your mounting bolts through there, and you can see that you have just enough room here to rotate the dizzy, which is great. So a lot of guys end up with issues of clearance right here, and so far so good. And you'll notice that there's a cap on this side, and the ultimate return off this rail is coming down from the center point here. So this guy needs to get mounted somewhere that is out of the way yet convenient. And we got to remember, we're going to have, you know, supercharger pipes here. We have strut tower brace there. So I don't know. AC accumulator there. Gonna have to figure it out.